Welcome to the Sounds of Encouragement, the place for creatives to find encouragement and support to help you stay motivated, creative, and inspired to use your craft to more fully impact your community. Thank you for tuning into this episode, and don't forget to subscribe so you get notified of future episodes. If you find value in these podcasts, please share with friends or colleagues. To keep this production ad-free, please share your support at www.buymeacoffee.com/encouragement and share a one-time gift or check out the member levels. I'm your host, Melissa Slocum, and I thrive on encouraging other creatives through teaching music, small business coaching, podcasting, and so much more. Find out more at www.musicgrow.com and subscribe to be part of a growing creative community supporting one another. Don't forget to check out the links in the show notes. And remember, I'm here for you, so you can be there for those who need you the most. Enjoy the show. Brenda Earle Stokes is a rare jazz artist with a true command of both the voice and the piano. Hailed as a breezy delight by Time Out New York, Brenda's music is rooted in the jazz tradition with influences ranging from Brazilian music to rock radio. As a band leader, she has toured clubs and festivals across the United States, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia, and has released 6 albums on her own label. As a follow-up, her critically acclaimed 2014 studio album, RightAbout Now, Stokes sought to challenge herself to dig deeper and share the full scope of her talents in the most intimate setting possible. Brenda Earle Stokes has performed as a side person with John Riley, Dick Oatts, Joel Frahm, Roxy Coss, Wycliffe Gordon, Maurice Hines, and the DIVA Jazz Orchestra. She has held residences at the Kennedy Center and the Banff Center for the Fine Arts, and was a finalist for the Mary LouWilliams Jazz Piano Competition and was winner of the IAJE Sisters in Jazz Competition, identifying her as one of the top emerging jazz artists of her generation. Please welcome my guest and friend, Brenda Earle Stokes. Welcome to Sounds of Encouragement. My name is Melissa Slocum, and you just heard a little bit about my guest, Brenda Earle Stokes. Brenda, welcome to the podcast today.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I am so excited to talk to you today because we got to know each other a little bit through the Fonz family group. I know all the best people through Fonz, so shout out to Eric Branner and the Fonz family. Best. Yeah. But then as we got to know each other a little bit last year, we actually did a series that you had put together, and I gave just a little tiny bit of information and assistance or cooperation or collaboration or whatever you want to call it in your series called Thrive in 2025. And it was a wonderful series about helping entrepreneurs and business people really face the economy that we were looking at in 2025. And it was a wonderful collaboration to do that with you. And that was kind of when we got to know each other and realized, oh my gosh, we have so much in common.
Exactly.
And I like to joke sometimes that we're like sisters from another mother or something, because so many similarities in what we do, down to like the backup hard drives we use are the same.
Yes, exactly.
Silly things like that. So I'm so excited to talk to you a little bit about encouragement today and listen to your top 5 songs of encouragement. I like to start these interviews by asking a little bit about what was encouragement like as you were growing up, and were there important people or pivotal moments where you were particularly encouraged one way or another?
Oh, this is a terrible answer, but no.
That's okay. That's okay.
What I discovered a lot, I think that there was that, and maybe this was your experience too, that a lot of the people that were providing care or teaching lessons seemed like they were all very burnt out. And again, like, who were the people that were teaching piano lessons? Or I was, I did ballet. Who were those people? They were women.
Yeah.
And so I would say that there were probably quite a few of those people who were doing things that they didn't find particularly motivating or inspiring.
Sure.
And, I know in particular, a couple of the piano teachers that I had really were very clearly not enjoying what they were doing. I had a dance teacher that was the same way. So there was quite a lot of like just sort of apathy or negativity kind of around the process. And in particular, the dance teacher who everybody else was doing their whatever intermediate exam. And she said, I don't think you should take it because I think you would fail. And I was like, okay. So I started taking extra classes and I ended up getting the highest mark in the intermediate, like for the whole school.
Right, of course.
Like everyone got a 3, I got a 4 out of 4.
Yeah.
So there, overall there was a lot of that, particularly as a child. And it's, my father encouraged me by, go practice, coming to recitals and saying, wow, you did well. Like there was a certain degree of that, but it wasn't until I really found my, my mojo in high school when I started playing jazz, where I had one particularly important teacher named LouWilliams, who was like, man, you should play jazz. And it was like the clouds parted and it all made sense to, it was like all was right in the world. This is what I should do. And the funny thing was, I've recently moved back to my hometown and he's still here and we're in a band together now.
That's fabulous. Yes. It's all full circle.
Yeah, it was full circle. So there were moments like that. When I went to university, I was very lucky to be, because at that time, there were very few women that were in the jazz world. Yeah. And so many women that I have come to know and love had horrible experiences, but I didn't have that experience particularly in university, not from the faculty anyways, from the students a little bit, but the faculty was very supportive. And I really felt like they never treated me like I was a girl. They never seemed to refer to gender at all with me because they could see that I was very serious. And so, it was sort of a mixed bag and of encouragement and sort of support, or what I would call reverse support, when someone tells you you are terrible and you will never amount to anything. And then you're like, I will grow out of the embers,
Right.
So yeah, and reflecting in my older years at some of these things, I can see that these were women who were burnt out and probably weren't given opportunities to do things that, you and I can do now. So anyways, that's the long version of your question.
Yeah. So my follow-up to that then is, has that impacted now how you teach and what you do?
Yeah, because I think in order to be able to do what we do, you have to have taken your own personal inventory and have done your own personal work. Yeah. Because I wouldn't be annoyed if somebody is doing something basic or they didn't practice, or because I feel completely fulfilled, or mostly, if you can be fully fulfilled, but I feel fulfilled, I feel secure. Yeah. I feel confident in what I'm doing, and I don't think anybody owes me practice time or devotion. Yes. I think people can show up as they are, and that is great. So I think because I've done the inner work, I'm not subject to the same, I think, unhappiness or negativity that I was given by teachers when I was younger.
Yeah. What a powerful testimony or experience that you've been able to turn into something really positive and wonderful for your clientele, whether those are young people, young students, or adults, or anybody that you work with. Because there are a lot of people who just simply take how they were taught and they just pass that along. And it takes a lot of work, like you're saying, a lot of inner work to break those cycles.
Yeah. And I would also say that I think I teach better than the way I was taught for most things. Again, I had some amazing teachers along the line, but particularly in my earlier years, I think I would have been better served by somebody giving what I'm giving rather than what I was given. And I would say, again, I think the reason for that is that a lot of people just weren't ever really working as musicians or living as musicians. They had done the training and did the thing, which again is no criticism. It's just different. But I've spent a lot of time really thinking in a very deep way about what works and about like, what is the point of what we're doing right now? I'm asking that a lot of like, does this person need this? Is this necessary? So any of the icky or the challenging stuff, or the stuff that is like sort of off in the realm somewhere theoretically, or however it is, it's like, is this necessary? Like, what can I edit out of this so that we're just really having productive time that's going to serve in some kind of meaningful way? And so, I'm thinking creatively that way because I can. And also because I am just curious. I'm a curious person.
It sounds very much like, again, we're very similar in this area where we look at the people in front of us that we're working with at that moment and asking those questions and being curious. What does this person need right now? What is their goal right now? Not what do I feel like I need to get done, but what is important for them to be able to do in this moment or to experience in this moment. And then let that inform what we do in those moments of teaching or coaching or whatever it is.
Absolutely. And it's, not only does it make us good people, but it's good business practice. Because if someone was coming in week after week to like their massage therapist and they're like, my neck is hurt and is hurting, and they spent the whole time working on their feet, well, you're going to lose that person because they're not feeling like you're listening to them. There's no value. There's no feeling of change. But if somebody says to me, I would really like to go and play a set of music at a nursing home. That's really something I want to do in my retirement, which just happens to be a demographic that I spend a lot of time with. Then I'm like, all right, what do we need to do to get from here to here? How do we do it? And the idea is, how do we make that happen in the smallest amount of time, but happen in a real way, not like memorizing fingerings, but like, how do I do that in what I would consider to be a pedagogically ethical way? So that I'm not writing note names in on the page, like, how do we do this ethically and in a way that really stands up by, millennia of music theory and pedagogy training? How do we do that? But what can we eliminate from that so that we can get the job done? Because then people feel like every lesson is worth it. They never question the cost. They never question the time. They're like, oh, this is totally worth my while because it is happening. And so, that's the way I always look about it too, is like, it's just good business practice.
It is, and I think that's where a lot of teachers, especially when we're talking about piano, because I think piano is an area where there are so many method books available that a lot of teachers get stuck in method books, and they think that the only way to teach is out of these method books. And it's like, no, actually, there are far better ways. It's not trying to diss method books entirely. There is value, but I think in a way, for me, that's taking kind of an easy way out, because then I'm just following somebody else's script. I'm not listening to the student in front of me. I'm not taking into consideration what the student's learning needs might be, what their challenges might be, what music they might want to play, what their goals might be, and just where they're at physically, emotionally, mentally. And so I feel like in the piano space, there's a lot of overdependence maybe on these series and leveled method books that are very prescriptive, that takes away some of, I think, what you and I are talking about, which is really getting back to the heart of good, solid pedagogical teaching. Not saying we're going to throw out good sequencing, good pedagogy, but we're going to do it in a way that makes sense for the learner in front of us.
Oh, absolutely. And there's some books that are great for everybody to start with, and they're the series of like, somebody comes to me, they're 7 years old, they want to learn piano. Well, they're starting from scratch. There are some fantastic books out there that you can start, but that can't be it.
Exactly.
It can't, can't be it. You also have to consider other stuff. And so it's nice to have a place to start with, but then, you have to be putting something else in there,
Definitely. Yeah. Well, good point. Well spoken. So sometimes we get encouragement from other people And I feel like this is where encouragement gets a little bit tricky, because sometimes encouragement actually is someone else's expectation that they're trying to put on us. Have you ever had to navigate that difference between, is this someone expecting something of me, or are they actually truly being encouraging of me? Have you navigated that? And if so, how have you been able to do that?
I think not, because I am the worst with my own expectations. So I can't even fathom that somebody else's expectations could have, like, I'm really one of those people that has like an excess of self-determination,
Yeah.
like almost in a harmful way. So, thinking back to like my undergraduate experience at that time, I went to York University in Toronto for jazz piano, and at that time, private lessons were not part of the curriculum.
Oh, wow.
Because it was a Bachelor of Fine Arts. It wasn't a Bachelor of Music. So the way it was organized. And so I wasn't seeing somebody every week who was saying, do this or do that or do the other thing. So I was constantly sort of taking my basket around and saying like, what can you give me today? What are you doing? So I had to seek out a lot of my own stuff.
Okay.
So I think, and when I did take lessons, I was paying out of pocket myself to go somewhere very specifically. Like I took a very specific set of classical lessons for like 8 months to fill in what I perceived as a deficiency. And then I took some additional private lessons with someone else. But I think not having that was a positive thing for me, because I was really seeking, all the stuff myself and sort of assessing what I needed as I went. Now, it probably would have been better if I did have a private teacher, because it would have been easier to do all the stuff, I think. But, that's kind of how I've been. I don't think anybody has the expectations for me that I do, which is, is a blessing and a curse. Like I'm glad that I haven't externalized very much of my own, process.
Yeah. And that's, I feel like the little bit that I do know about you, you have a very strong sense of who you are as a, who am I at the core as my core person. And I think that's exactly what it takes in order to avoid that whole people pleasing, and I'm going to meet everyone else's expectation, and I'm going to do what everyone else tells me. It takes a very unique, special type of personality, I feel like, which you have, in order to say, no, that's not for me. I'm going to continue on my own way. And there are not a lot of people who are able to do that, because they just don't have those characteristics built into their DNA in some ways. And then also they don't have the same environment that you had, where you pretty much had to be self-sufficient and go find those things on your own. So
I mean, everybody that went to university with me had the same experience. It's just there was a certain level of kind of negativity or feeling like I couldn't do it, because again, I was one of a very, very few women in the program. And so I was frequently having people say, oh, like, whose girlfriend are you? Like when you show up at a jam session, it's like, no, I'm hosting the jam session.
Yeah.
So there was enough of that aggravated me enough that I think it helped me to feel more of that way, because I think, people who can't handle that kind of situation would have just quit.
Yes.
So the fact that I made it through is just because, I'm a pain in the butt and wouldn't kind of take no for an answer on it. So
yeah. Same. A lot of criticism that I went through early on, just for being female, just for my gender. And it's not a road that I would want anyone else to walk down. But on the other hand, it also has shaped who I am and how strong my voice is now, because I don't take bullshit from anybody.
Right.
I mean, ask any of my family, ask any of my friends, and they're like, yeah, she doesn't take it from anybody.
Yeah. And the other thing too, that I think people are, I think this is something that's showing up more in the research now, is like the people that are doing it are the ones that were the most interested in it. And so the people that don't last, or the people that aren't gifted, or the people that aren't dedicated enough are I think on a lot of levels just aren't as interested in the subject. And so I think I was obsessively interested in the subject, and there wasn't anything that could stop me from doing it, because I was so interested and so passionate about it. So, again, like that's sort of a luck component of it, that I was committed enough to the work. Like there were other people that I think loved it too, but didn't have that same level of like obsessive commitment. And I'm sure they found the thing in their lives that they were obsessively committed to. And I'm happy for them, whatever it is. But this was just the thing that I was going to do, and I was going to do it no matter what. So, and I can't take credit for that. That just is. That's just an is.
Yeah, but I think that is incredible encouragement for people who are trying to find what that thing is in their lives right now, whether they're young, middle-aged, older. You have to have a commitment to something. And you know, a lot of people toss around the, find your passion kind of thing, which I sort of dislike, but it's also true that you have to find the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning and that makes you continue no matter what, and that you're going to, like you said, commit to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We all went through in 2020 a global pandemic, and it affected a lot of people. It affected their business models. And I'm just curious to know, what was 2020 like for you? How did you stay hopeful and encouraged during that time?
I don't know. I think it was sort of an outer body experience, because my son was very young then. He was in grade 2, like second grade. He was 8. And so I didn't have really much of an opportunity to have an existential crisis over it, the way that I think people who maybe didn't have children, or like, of course I watched the news too much and like, you know, shared memes on Facebook and things like that, like everybody else did, and watched a lot of terrible movies of people dying of pandemics. We watched a lot of that kind of stuff.
Oh no.
But like, I didn't really have much of a chance to sit and navel graze about it, because I had a young son and we had to navigate it. And so what I ended up sort of having to do was noticing that what the school was offering was a disaster, and realizing that I had to do something, and fast. And so what I ended up doing was withdrawing him from school and homeschooling him for 2 years.
Wow.
So
I did not know that.
Oh yeah. Yep. And it was funny the way it worked out, because the principal of his school called me, because he was always so easy. And so if he's having trouble, he's the canary in the coal mine. This can't be good.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
I kept saying, you know, he's having panic attacks, he's having meltdowns, he's crying, he's upset, this isn't working. And her response was, "Oh, don't worry, we don't expect them to learn anything this year anyways." And I was like, "Check, please. We're out of here."
I'm just going to pick my jaw up off the floor at that.
It was bonkers. It was bonkers. It was insane. And, you know, I was in New York City at the time. You know, we had the longest lockdown. We had for obvious reasons.
Yep.
When the schools opened up that fall in our school district, you could be in person 1 day a week, 1 week, and 2 days a week the next week. And I was like, nope, we're not doing it. So I happened to have a high school student whose mother was homeschooling him. And I just called her and I said, what do I do?
Yeah.
So for 2 years, I taught him every subject. The second year of homeschooling, which was in the 2021, 2022 year, a lot of things had opened. So we were doing co-op and, you know, all this kind of thing. But at the same time that I did that, I had this vision of I had done a series of online courses that had done actually surprisingly well. And I had always had this vision of like, what would happen if I put everything I know in one place? And so I usually couldn't get into that. And the reason I never did is because my performance career was always about 30 or 40% of what I was doing. And I couldn't justify putting a long pause on my performing career. So thanks to the pandemic put a pause on my performing career. So I was able to do that. And so what I did was spend a lot of time in early 2020 formulating that. And then in August or July of 2021, technically, I launched my online membership. So I was homeschooling every subject all day. And then like from 4:30 in the morning until like 8, I was working on the membership and getting all the stuff organized. And then, in the afternoon, evening, I would be teaching private lessons. And so I don't know how I did it. I don't think I could do that again, but it was what it was. our son got some extra iPad time during that time, but like
Sure.
learned every subject and all that kind of stuff. So that was really what happened for me, or what changed for me during that time. And I gave myself a full permission to not even think of myself as being a performer. And I did, everybody else was doing online concerts and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that. I did maybe 3, but I had people that were doing it multiple times a week. Like I had lots of friends that were doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do a plug for your platform, your online membership. Talk a little bit about what you did put together and what it's called and what people can find there.
Yeah, so I have an online membership called The Versatile Musician, and it's at theversatilemusician.com. And what it is it's an all-inclusive platform where I think I have 28 courses, full courses, courses or modules, and I have something like over 1,500 unique videos.
Yeah.
And it started out with a course that I created back in, I think 2017 or 2018, called Piano Skills for Singers. And then I had so many people sign up for that they said, where's part 2? So I made part 2. And then people were like, is there a jazz course? And I'm like, sure. And they're like, what about solfege? What about improv? So it's grown into, it has kind of everything that somebody would need if they were wanting to do things in music. And that would be from avocational musicians who want to play for fun, play their favorite songs, for singers and singing teachers who want to get their piano skills together so that they can, stop hiring accompanists. It's for choral singers who realize they need to get their musicianship in order. I have music theory stuff. It's sort of everything. I now also have over 140 song tutorials that I've made, which are singing and piano playing arrangements. So that have lots of different kind of choose your own adventure options so that you can make it more difficult or easier depending on your skill. So, I've served several hundred people. We do a live Zoom call once a month. I ask everybody, what do they want to learn? And, this is what it is. It's huge. It's like really become a thing.
It is. It's a fabulous community. And, the tutorials for the songs are so fun, and they're fast and they're easy and they're just really enjoyable. It's a great community to be a part of. And we'll link to the Versatile Musician website in the show notes. But if you're looking for something just fun, I think for yourself, go check it out, go join the community, be part of it, because it's just, in my opinion, and I'm all about encouraging people. It is an uplifting, encouraging space, and we need more of those communities. And you've certainly built that with a Versatile Musician.
And it's there. It's like, I don't take nobody's. It's not a serious, like the material is serious, but I am not.
Yeah.
So we're not like, oh, you better push your thumb under the right place or your hand, it's none of that. It's just, it's really it's a fun and engaging, and I'm such a super nerd about everything that I'm doing that I do take it far too seriously in some ways, but it's like in a humorous kind of way. But all of the theory checks out, like all of it is very, very much based on, 40 years of music training and best practices, and is rooted in like real research and all that kind of stuff. Like there's nothing in there that's fluffy. It's all serving a purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love too is that you not only have both the voice, the vocal, and the piano background, and all different styles and genres in your in your repertoire of experience. And people can find just about everything at the Versatile Musician, which is why it's called that. Yeah.
Yes.
So special plug
from worship music to country music to piano bar hits to how to fake classical music, like how to play classical music without taking 10 years worth of lessons to play like pre-release and stuff. So it's a lot of stuff that the goal is to get people playing as soon as possible. Whatever they're interested in. So it is really fun. And I really didn't think it was going to be this much of a thing. But it's really become like a huge part of my life, and I'm constantly adding to it. Constantly. I'm teaching a Zoom workshop for them today. And I've prepared 5 new song tutorials just this month. So it's constantly, just because I have so many things I'm interested in.
Yeah. And for people who are like, oh, wow, you must, you've built this thing and it took off, how did you do it? Did you have some sort of like guru that you followed or some sort of system that you followed? I don't want people to walk away with the idea that this just happened overnight. The work is there, and it's, work every single week, work every single day. And yes, you have systems in place. And you have great systems, because I know we're both very organized and we're both very systematic in our thinking and in our processes. And we batch things and, we keep things moving that way. But it still takes a lot of work. And for people who think, oh, I can just throw up a course and make a bunch of money, that's not how that works.
That's not how that is. And then I would also caution people, because I know you and I have both fallen prey in different ways to like the people who say, just take my course and I'll show you how to do, and it's like, run for the hills.
Yeah.
And I do admit, I did have some coaching sessions with a couple of people about very specific things, mostly system type things that I needed to sort out. And so I had some great support in the very beginning, but I never took one of those courses that teaches you how to make courses, like making courses for people who teach courses, who, all that sort of like, oh no, when does it end? And so, I'm conscientious about that, but I did go and get some support for certain things as I needed them, which was helpful. But I think those kinds of situations can become like sort of the snake eating its own tail, because you spend so much time with the coaching that you're not actually doing anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I think that's an important thing too. Like if you do go the route of using a coach, that you have to make sure that you're actually doing the thing you want to do, not preparing to do the thing that you want to do. Because years will go by. Years.
And a lot of money
still
goes
haven't
out
done
the door.
thing.
Yeah. And a lot of money goes out the door to your guru or whoever, and you haven't accomplished anything other than, paid somebody else's mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so I did use some very specific, because I was like, these are some things I don't know. So I'm going to go and get the experts to do that kind of thing. Yeah. But, the biggest thing for me is that I figured out what I needed to do, and I just kept doing a piece of it at a time,
Yeah. It's never an overnight success. It's always a long process to get to where we are.
But I mean, most people aren't stubborn enough to stick around for it too.
Exactly.
Because I've seen a lot of people get into, making online courses and things. I'm sure we know lots of the same people who are, and they try it for a short time and nothing happens. And then they're like, whatever, and I'm stubborn enough. And also at one point when I said to my husband, I think I'm going to quit, he says, can you just please give it another year? It was a good thing I did, because my revenue doubled that year.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But you have to, you have to be passionate about what you're doing enough that you're going to stay with it, because a lot of times the people that are getting the success are the ones that stayed around.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't just, and I see a lot of this in what I do in business coaching. There are a lot of people who are like, well, we're going to try this for a year. And I sort of laugh in their face, because I'm like, if you're not in it for 3 years minimum, then don't even start. Like if you don't have a plan and a business plan, and you don't have some strategy, and you don't have some things in place and some business
or interest enough to sustain it, because the first year is the year you spend all the money.
Yeah.
That's the year you pay
and make
for the website,
a lot of mistakes,
and the course and the whatever. Like that's the year. So you really have to wait till 2 or 3 where you can get out of the red and into the black. Otherwise, like, what are you going to do next year? You're going to do a different thing, and then all the money goes out the door again,
Exactly. Yeah. We've been there, done that. We know.
Yeah. Yes.
So for someone who is watching or listening right now, and who may be struggling with their business or with their creative self and what they're doing as an entrepreneur or as a creative person or a musician, are there some suggestions or tips or things that you might pass along to encourage people right now?
Yeah, I would say in general, like most people, if you're having trouble in your business, I wouldn't necessarily look to your business for the solution. I would zoom out and look at your life. And usually, and I say this particularly to women, but men too might have this same situation, that there is probably a lot of extra garbage in your life that you should probably look at cleaning up. And so when someone says to me, "Oh, I'm so blah, I'm tired of this, or this isn't working," a lot of times if you just go take a look and see, is your house cluttered full of junk? Or do you have some toxic people in your life who are making you feel bad? Do you have a lot of extra stressors out there? Like, and then are you sleeping? Have you eaten a fruit this week?
Yeah.
Have you had a drink of water today?
Yeah.
I find that for a lot of people, their work satisfaction kicks up a lot when they're able to clean up the other messes. And I would say for most people, decluttering and getting organized is huge. That's kind of why I created the Thrive in 2025, because I really do believe that if you don't know if you paid your phone bill or not, and there's food rotting in your fridge, and you can't find anybody's phone number when you need it, and you forgot your kid's doctor's appointment, like if that's happening, then you can't really start to look forward on that. So that's always the first thing that I say with people is like, try to see if you can take a couple weeks and like get your life in order.
Yeah.
In that kind of way, like maybe don't call the couple people that make you feel terrible every time you talk to them, kind of thing. Like take a break.
Yeah.
And then the next thing that I think is most people's problem is that they have boundary issues in their business. And I would say boundary issues in terms of not having a cancellation policy. That's big.
Yep.
Or having, a monthly fee or a flat rate, or having some system that works for them. And then I would also say within the boundaries, you're probably not charging enough. And so what I find is if you can declutter your house and empty your house off into the nearest Goodwill or garbage can and remove those couple of irritating people in your life, and then take a look and say, the reason my business isn't working is probably because I don't have a good studio policy and I'm probably not charging enough. And if you just fix those two things, it usually solves every other problem.
Yeah, it goes a long way. And I'm also
Goes a long, long way.
Yeah, I'm also a believer in like when you see a person's space is completely cluttered, it's for me a lot of times a sign that there's a lot of mental clutter. And so I advise a lot of my clients that way is, you may feel like you can find everything in the clutter, but it's also a sign of some mental clutter going on. Even if you don't believe that that's true, that's usually part of what's happening. And that's the why behind us saying, if you clean your spaces and declutter your spaces, it actually goes a long way toward mental decluttering and mental clarity.
Right, and it's removing the stress that every time you walk into the space, it's like there's this and there's that. And they say it is particularly stressful for women, and that it actually raises our stress level, our cortisol and all that kind of thing. And they've done tests on this to say like, wow, that these women, their cortisol is really high. They're really, really stressed. And then when they start clearing out, emptying drawers, getting rid of stuff doesn't need to be there, that it really takes that stress away. So I find that's really to be true. And then taking some time to have a look at, how your business is structured, because if you're having a problem that you're not making enough money, and everybody says that's the big problem. I'm not making enough money.
Yeah.
Then you stop and you say, well, what's your studio policy? And they don't have one. Or their studio policy, as long as you cancel within 24 hours notice. But it's like, well, what are you going to do in those 24 hours? How's that going to help you? Then you still don't make the money. So it's like the flat rate is a good idea. Or if you're charging enough that it doesn't matter if you miss a couple lessons a week, or you overbook. So you need 15 lessons a week to make your monthly nut. But you overbook to 20 because, a few people are going to cancel. So whatever your solution to that, because for most people, the money is the problem, right?
Well, they're not tracking it. So they have an idea.
They're not tracking it.
Yeah.
They're not charging enough.
Yeah.
They don't have and so if you take that stress piece of it out, then you also have money to throw at problems too. And so I find that if you can get to that place where you're, in a comfortable place, then it empowers you to be able to make other kinds of decisions. So then you
Yeah.
could say, I don't want to teach young children anymore.
Right.
Maybe you find that stressful, or I
Right.
don't want to work with adults anymore. I don't enjoy working with adults, or I find that they're flaky, whatever people
Right.
say. I love working
Right.
with adults.
Me too.
Yeah. And so but you can then devote time to idealizing your business.
Yeah.
But you have to make your monthly nut, and you have to get that all kind of sorted out first. So that really makes a big difference. And that's actually something that I really love about the Fonz Facebook group, is that there are so many of us who have been in this for a while that someone will be like, oh, this guy canceled again. It's 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And what do I do? I'm going to quit and work at Starbucks. We see those all the time from people. And then there's a bunch of us who've already been through it, who are like, this is what I did. This is what I did. This is what I tried. And people are giving this information and support out for free.
Yes.
And we'll even have masterminds either with Eric, or sometimes people will be like, I'm working on some stuff. Does anyone want to have a mastermind? And what it is it's a lot of loving and caring experts who will look and say, here's what your business is like mine. This is what I did, and it made a difference. And so that's where mentorship and, and also, like, if you're really feeling lost, that's the time to find a coach, right?
Definitely.
That's the time. If you're at a point where you're like, I really don't know what to do, and it's like everything, then, or, you've just made a big move and you're starting from scratch or something, that's when you hire a coach, but not a coach who coaches coaches who coach, not a life coach, but a coach who knows how to fix.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes therapy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. That's true.
If you don't need a business coach because you've got the business stuff, okay, but the life stuff is still, a struggle. Therapy is always a great thing to jump into, because that also brings clarity and perspective. And sometimes when you do a little bit of therapy, you realize, oh, I don't need a business coach. I just need to straighten a few things out and I'm good. Other times you really do need the business coach to help you sort a lot of things out, because a lot of the business things are not intuitive to people. Business is hard, and people don't think.
It's the systems, or for example, let's say you are trying to branch out online and you realize that social media is going to be the way to go. You can't figure that. Like there are parts of that. There are courses you can take, but there are people you can ask, but there are people that specialize in that.
Yeah.
You can do that. Or if you've always sort of had, like, they put the check on the piano at the end of the month or whatever, and you're really working to a place where you don't want that to be part of your work anymore, then you might need someone to help you set up a system like Fonz, or have somebody help you figure out what your website needs to do. Like those are times where you want to get, an adult to help you.
Definitely.
When you're going to do a big shift like that, or if you're in another kind of transition where you're trying to do something different in that way, it's helpful to do that.
And, you are not speaking, pie in the sky. You've just gone through this. You've made a move and a transition, and you're rebuilding your local studio, your local clientele, and kind of reframing everything now to fit your local market. So it's not that you're just kind of saying all this stuff to say it. You're living it right now.
Well, sort of. I'm actually not rebuilding my local market because I didn't need to.
Yeah.
That was the fun part of all this. So in case the audience doesn't know, like, I lived in New York for 24 years and I had a pretty busy studio, and I got involved in online teaching pretty early on.
Yeah.
I had done a trip over to Australia, and when I was over there, I had picked up a lot of students who wanted to continue working with me. So we were doing Skype, lessons, like in 2017, 2018, rest in peace, Skype.
Yeah.
That's like how it's like, wow, it doesn't exist anymore. And so that's kind of how it started for me. So when I got online, like during the pandemic, I'd already been doing it. So it wasn't a big deal to do. I've always had a lot of students. So when I made this particular move, I was thinking, well, 30% of my studio is in person. I'll probably lose them. And every single student followed me online.
Oh,
every single one.
Oh, that's
Oh yeah.
fabulous.
I
That's
couldn't believe it.
fabulous.
I thought that's amazing.
Yeah.
I have a great setup. I have a phenomenal setup
You
and
do.
it works well. And I
Yeah.
really enjoy online teaching. I know some
Me too.
people wouldn't want to do it all day. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
You know, I get to sit here. I have this beautiful window that looks out into my backyard now that we've moved
Yeah.
back to Canada. And so that worked out really well. So, you know, the people that are contacting me now are contacting me because of my search engine optimization and are all over the place anyway. So I have one local student, but I wasn't even going to take him on, except he's a super nice guy. And
Oh,
I knew that I could really help him and that there
sure.
isn't anybody else around here who's doing what I do. So I was like, this is going to work out well. And,
Good.
you know, there might be a couple of other people who sort of show up, but
Yeah.
I didn't have to do any marketing or advertising. In fact, I'm deliberately not, because I don't really have any room in my studio right now.
That's phenomenal. You know,
Yeah.
but again, that's from years of work being put in
Right.
every single day, every single week, and showing up all the
Yeah.
time and being consistent and staying with it. That's not that's not luck. That is work.
And it's picking a strategy and picking the right strategy, you know, and again, that's a question for a business coach if you're not
Yep.
sure. But for me, you know, I was marketing primarily in New York City for in-person lessons. I was marketing in that direction. And then I was marketing for my membership, which of course is anyone, anywhere at any time. And so as my studio got fuller, I didn't have to market that way anymore because I had enough coming in.
Right.
You know, that's the thing about marketing, is you only need to market as much as you need to market to fill your space. If you've got the right numbers of students or money or whatever your metrics are. But I needed to market internationally to get the membership full.
Right.
And so as my studio got full, I just focused more on that. And that's been ideal because it's not, it doesn't matter where anybody is. I'm not marketing to specific markets. I'm marketing for, you know, something broader. So I just put my eggs in that basket now.
That's amazing. You know, to be able to have that freedom to do that. It's still work, but there's a lot of freedom in that as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, wonderful encouragement and wonderful nuggets of business coaching that listeners and watchers just got from us today. And, you know, certainly if you are in a position where you need any kind of encouragement around your business, versatile musician, and of course, Music Grow and coaching, I do some of that as well. So we want to move to your top 5 songs of encouragement. And I love this part of the show. I know this is hard for a lot of people to put together because it's hard to choose a top 5.
Took me 2 seconds. I knew exactly what I was going to put up here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So the first song that you wanted to share, oh, my screen just went wonky. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me go back. Okay. The first one is called Song of Life. And this is Norma Winstone and Fred Hirsch.
Yes.
And we're just going to play a 10-second clip of this. We're picking it up at the 3:20 mark because I just thought this was a cool little section here. The vocals are incredible. So all of these are linked in the show notes, and go listen to all of these tracks. But here we go. Here is a 10-second clip of this Song of Life.
Music that the earth makes, capturing a meaning, heart songs beating, giving you a glimpse of what's beyond.
Oh, go listen.
She's amazing.
Oh, go listen to that the whole song and the whole album. Just incredible. Talk about that one.
So Fred Hirsch is one of the great jazz pianists of all time. I would really put him up there with Bill Evans and Oscar Peterson. I really would put him as being as important as them. Wow. He is still very much alive in New York City. I took some lessons with him when I first moved to New York. And he has done all the things at all the time. He also wrote what I think would be my top 10 music autobiographies.
Oh, really?
His autobiography, his story is so unbelievable. I won't spoil it, but if you want to hear an absolutely insane life, like the most incredible, it's phenomenal. And he wrote all of these instrumental songs. And Norma Winstone is a British jazz singer who is famous for, she was on the ECM record label for many years, she would write lyrics to instrumental compositions. And so Fred tasked her with taking 12 or 10 of his compositions and writing original lyrics to them. And so this song is originally called Heart Songs, but she wrote these lyrics to it. And I think they played at the Jazz Standard in New York. I think I was there for 3 of the 4 nights they were there.
Wow.
Like I spent a lot of money sitting in the audience that week. It's an amazing album. They are both phenomenal musicians.
Well, and this, the vocals on this are like birdsong. They're beautiful.
Yeah, she's really a very special and very unique for a jazz singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not what you would think of necessarily if you're thinking more of like Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that at all.
Yeah. And before we continue, I have to say, so I listened to all of these tracks before I do the interviews, and I was actually a little bit relieved when you didn't send like Ella Fitzgerald, Diana Krall, and like the standard, the big names, the most famous. And, people listening today or watching are going to hear some incredible music, jazz, and they may not be always people you've heard of or that you are familiar with. I certainly was not familiar at all with most of these. I mean, I know a few of them, but I'm so glad to be introduced to some of these artists because so incredible. And I haven't had time to listen to this whole album yet, but that's on my list for this afternoon to be playing in the background.
I could sing every note of every piano solo, every note.
I'll bet. It's that good. So seriously.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, click on the link and listen to this and then go check out the whole album. Just incredible. We're going to go to Oscar Peterson next. So this is, obviously, hopefully most people have heard of Oscar Peterson.
Yes, he's Canadian like me. And if you can see in my shot here, there he is.
Very good.
Yeah, he's always over my shoulder in every studio. So Oscar is originally from Montreal. He's from a neighborhood in Montreal called Place Saint-Henri, which is a neighborhood that was primarily at that time a Black neighborhood. And that's where he grew up, and he wrote this incredible suite of music called the Canadiana Suite. And this is the what he wrote about his home neighborhood in Montreal.
So we're going to just listen to a 10-second clip. This is one of his solos. He has a couple through this, but we're picking it up at 2:32. Here we go. It just doesn't get any better than that. Go listen to the whole track. Oh my goodness. What else do you want? Why is this one in particular so encouraging or uplifting for you?
It's where he's from. Like it's literally his literal neighborhood. Yeah. And there, it's very joyful, and you can hear like the gospel influence in there. So, cause the church was an important part of that community. And it's great. The whole album is incredible. It's really amazing.
Yeah, when I was listening to this last night, I was like, and I was so tired last night when I was listening to everything, and I'm like making my notes, and I was instantly uplifted by all of these, but in particular, this one, I was just like, oh yeah, see, I remember living in Chicago, going to jazz clubs, and I remember just like it instantly relaxed me, and it instantly put me in a better mood, and I was like, yeah, see, this is what. There's so much great power in music, and especially for me, jazz. I have a strong connection to jazz as well, and it just totally changed my frame of mind and my attitude and my own sense of exactly. I'm okay again.
Yes.
So go listen to the whole album. The next that we're going to listen to is a 10-second clip of Morrissey.
Not jazz.
Back on the Chain Gang.
This is him covering the Pretenders song.
Yeah. I'm going to pick this up at the refrain at 103. I'll let you talk about it in just a second. Here we go.
Circumstance beyond our control. Phone, TV,
I miscued that. I thought it was at the refrain. It's not. It was at the beginning.
No, you're good.
Of that
It's
verse.
the second verse.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But talk about this one and go listen to the whole track. He has a great voice and the video is priceless. But talk about this one.
Yeah, I've been a hardcore Morrissey fan since I was like 14, like obsessive, like weirdly obsessive. I'm one of those Morrissey people. And I saw him at NJ Pack in Newark, New Jersey last year. And it was like
wow.
insane. I was like 15 again, and every one of his records, every one of his songs, everything he did with the Smiths, I know it all. And I didn't know about this cover. And it just sort of popped up and I went, how did I not know about this? Like he should have called me. So anyways, it's like Chrissy Hyde and Morrissey, like at the same, in the same frame. It's like, it's too much for me. So anyways, I love him.
Such a great tune. And then what a fun cover and a great video. So go check those out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We're going to move over next to this.
Luciana Souza. Yeah.
Yeah. No wonder. And I'm picking this up just at the beginning at the 20-second mark. We'll hear a clip, but honestly, oh my gosh.
She's amazing.
You have to listen to this whole track and then go check out the whole album. Here we go.
To the bottom of your heart could say, take my lead right on your smile.
She's amazing. Yeah. So Luciana she's my friend now, and she was my teacher. It was my graduate class that like insisted that she come and teach at the school. Like we were like, we want Luciana, and they brought her. But she's from Brazil. She comes from kind of musical royalty. Both of her parents were very famous Brazilian musicians, and like she knew all the people. And I can't remember which famous Brazilian artist was her godfather, but it was somebody where you're like, no way, that's crazy. How,
Wow.
And she's been in the States. She went to Berkeley and Boston, and she's been in the States for a very long time, in probably 30, 40, maybe more years. And she's been nominated for a ton of Grammys for very good reason. And she is just one of the truly the great musicians of all time. Like she's amazing. This song has this crazy scat solo at the end that she wrote. And I've performed this several times with like friends where we're like, let's do a thing. And this was the thing that we picked because it's so amazing.
And I wish I could play more of than just 10-second clips, because that's what I would have chosen is the solo at the end. Oh my God, the scat is so good.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
she's the best.
But through the whole piece, through the whole song, the vocalizations are just incredible. So clean, so pure, just incredible. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for sharing that one, because that is a new artist to me, and I will be listening to that whole album.
Yeah, she's amazing.
The last one is Carmen McRae, No More Blues. And we've picked this up. I have it queued up at 146. We'll listen to the little clip and then we'll let you talk about it. Here we go.
Now, there'll be no more blues. Nothing but happiness when we settle down. There'll be no more blues.
Oh my goodness. Go listen to the whole thing.
Yeah. Or everything that Carmen does. I just happened to find that clip. But yeah, she's like every jazz singer's favorite singer. And what's so incredible about her is that she's experienced it all, and she's just not going to take any crap about it, which I really love at this particular point in her career. I think this was like maybe the 90s. She'd been through it all. She'd experienced it all, and she's just there for the music, and she's not there for the shenanigans. And she does the job. She owns it. And she just has a zillion wonderful, incredible records. One of her most famous records was Thelonious Sink's Monk.
Yes.
So she sings all of the vocal versions of all the Thelonious Monk songs, like sort of his greatest hits. And she's amazing. I would be remiss if I left her out.
And her scat in this one too is just like mind blowing as well. Just incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Whoop. I'm apparently going to play more of that one. Anyway, so those were your top 5. Let me switch back to a different screen here. I like to end these interviews by asking just if there is any other encouragement that you would like to leave the audience with.
I don't know. I think the thing that always makes me feel comfortable, like, or comforted, is like the idea that life is cyclical. And so if you're not feeling particularly productive right now, like, start planning for the season when you are, or if you feel like it's been too much and you need to take a break, try to take a break. I would just say that it's important to remember that whatever's going on right now isn't going to be like that forever. I had a great friend named Lisa who would always say, she would be like, don't worry, it's going to get better, but then it's going to get worse again.
Yeah.
I don't 100%. Know why. I always appreciated that so very much, because it's like reminding us that I don't like to call it a season, because, lots of people are like, oh, it's a season. I don't know if it's a season, but like, it's just going to get better, and then it's going to get worse again, and then it's going to change. It just is. And so if you can try to be accepting of that and not feel like everything is the end of the world all the time, then it's going to get better. It's going to change. Yeah. And that's the only thing I think we can really count on, is that it's going to change.
So true. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I also think that, we live in a world where everybody wants instant gratification. And when something goes wrong, they want it to be made right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't happen that way. And we, as a 50-plus-year-old menopausal woman, I can tell you, there are periods in life where, as a family, we've gone through a 3-year stretch of really, really hard stuff. And I'm right now, like, going a little over 1 year stretch again of some really, really hard stuff. And it's been a little over a year. And it's okay, because I know that even when you're in that dark place and you're going through hard stuff, you still can have happiness. You can still find joy. You can still work. You can still do the things. It's just that life might be hard for a little while. But I also know that whenever the hard stuff actually kind of clears out of my life, exactly that is going to happen. I can get back to kind of more normal routines and more normal life, where I feel more in control, and I feel like I can control more of my own destiny and more of my own projects and my own time again. And then I have long stretches like that where I'm floating along and doing wonderfully. And then, something else will come around again, and it'll be tough for a while.
And that's what another argument in favor of having robust systems and having money saved up and having your life simplified, because like when stuff comes up, it's not, everything is on fire. It's just sort of one area. We don't have to have the whole ship can sink, just something fell off the ship. It's okay.
Yeah. And, that's also the power of community, which is why I do this show, is to be one of those places where people can go and find the encouragement they need when they are in that tough place. And they can find, great stories from people like you who've been there, done that, and can find encouragement in some of what you've been able to do and in what you're currently working on with a versatile musician. Where are some of the best places people can find more about you and your work? We've mentioned the versatile musician. It's linked in the show notes.
My main teaching website is pianoandvoicewithbrenda.com. All the links to all the things are there. And if people want to see a little more of my artist life, they can go to BrendaEarle.com, and Earle has an E at the end. But that's also, you can click it. Pianoandvoicewithbrenda.com is like the safest place to go and see lots of stuff that I've been working on, and my YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Wonderful. Brenda, it is always such a pleasure to talk
with you. It was great to be
chat here. Yeah. So that does it for this particular episode of Sounds of Encouragement. Remember that I'm here for you so that you can be there for those who need you the most. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening or for watching. Take care. If you have found value in these podcasts, please share the podcast with those you know. Leave a positive review or support the show at buymeacoffee.com. Sounds of Encouragement is a podcast production of Music Grow LLC, part of growing musicians and teachers everywhere. Sounds of Encouragement is hosted, produced, and edited by Melissa Slocum. To get in touch, contact soundoфencouragement@gmail.com. Theme music by Melissa Slocum and Steve Tressler. Music mixed and mastered by Steve Tressler. Thank you to Steve Tressler and Christina Lopriori, who encouraged me to do this in the first place. And remember, I'm here for you, so you can be there for those who need you the most.